speak from experience.
So what do you think that his end? So what was the end game? You're not going to wrestle in these places. You're obviously a first responder. You've got a family. You're not obviously looking to come back into a lot of this. So what was a guy, Chase Wakefield, right? Who even left DBW. So obviously he leaves DBW. He's not a part of it. He was apparently not even going to wrestle, but he's decided he's coming back. And, he was a part of some different things. And I like Chase Wakefield a lot. This is not a thing. I like him a lot. I consider him a friend. I speak to him. And I like Chase Wakefield a lot. But I'm also not a wrestler. So I don't know the insides, outs in it. I'm not in this looking to go into it. I look this to give a floor to different people. You have been a very close friend. He has been a very close friend, but I'm also not a wrestler. I'm not in locker rooms. So I don't have the same ego. I don't have the same agenda. I don't come from the same standpoint that he or you would come from. So help me understand from your vantage point, what was the impression or what was the reason he spent up to an hour talking about your name more than anybody else? He didn't come on here and talk about his DBW career. He didn't come on here and talk about a lot of the things that he maybe had did in terms of why he is coming back into wrestling. He kind of touched upon it. He spent time on Summer Bash for about 15 or so minutes. And, some people I think might have perceived that to be one way or another. I personally don't think that he wants Summer Bash to fail. I think he did try to do something. It didn't work out because of COVID, but there are going to be people that say, well, he was a DBW guy. And a lot of the DBW wrestlers, I think there is this kind of, I guess, weird tension right now here on Sportswire.
I'll say this
on all this.
I cannot speak intelligently on what is going through that man's mind because I don't know him.
Obviously, I'm just curious.
I don't know him. I don't know anything about him other than that he's involved with wrestling and he was involved with DBW.
Yes, he was.
Which does put him in connection with some of the Biwa guys because they do go there.
You mentioned Fatal. You mentioned Ego.
Or they do have involvement with some of those guys have had involvement at some point in their life with Biwa. So and who really knows, Tom? Who really knows what causes a human being? What is the limit on that, right? What makes a man or an individual or a human being reach a point off of literally nothing? Because he doesn't know me personally. He knows nothing about my past firsthand. He never was there. He didn't live it with me. He's not like he's my age and he grew up next to me watching it happen.
Right.
So
see, I would understand this if he was in a locker room with you. I would understand if.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it never got any traction. I've been paying attention. Oh, more fireworks. I don't know if you can hear that.
Is somebody knocking on your door right now? Because you're about to say
they're lighting off fireworks over here.
I know.
It's like, this is an individual that doesn't know a thing about me. Right? And you come on here and you say all these stories. Now, I didn't come up here in character. I didn't come up here trying to shoot. And I didn't come up here.
I'll be honest, this is just a civil conversation. I'll tell you the truth. I think, go ahead.
But like I said, what brings a man to take the time out of his day off of no motivation? None. He's got no personal stake in this. Unless his feelings were hurt that I didn't give him time at a DBW show. Or enough time. I wasn't exactly.
Now, there's something out there that did you ever say to anybody that you were looking to be in DBW? Is there anything out there that you were going there for feelers for that?
When I went to that show,
correct.
I wasn't very fruitful with everyone else's time. I kind of snuck by and said hi or what's up or tipped my hat to individuals or said good match or whatever quickly. Okay. I think Judgment and Ego were the only people there that I spoke to more than once.
Okay.
So there's that.
Do you think he perceived that as you're trying to get an in?
As far as me claiming that I was part of the roster, I mentioned that on this show back around that time frame only after Mr. Phillips himself said, we're going to get you in We're going to have you. He had booked me in a show in the fall and said, we're going to have you do a match. And that was when I come up on here. And I said, it looks like I might be a new member of DBW.
Ah, I see.
Those are my words. And we can go back and fact check it watching the videos.
Okay. No, I'm curious on that because I was wondering, because if you went there, right, was there a feeler? Was there, again, because I understand the backstory. I kind of remember this actually. And I'm just curious because he had brought that up sort of. And, there's different things I'm sure that people think because you go to a show and maybe that's the reason you went there. But again, you were invited, you showed up. And, I don't know enough of the parameters to say, should you have gone up to guys? And what if guys didn't know who you were and weren't friendly? I don't know. I'm not in that locker room. I'm not there in that moment. So
some of the guys did know who I was from here, from the show.
There are certain names I would think of, sure.
And, of course, the people that I had already known. The people guys that moved over to there.
Right.
But me making a comment about possibly being the newest member of DBW or a member of that roster in the past, once I confirmed something with Mr. Phillips about having a match, yes, something like that was said. But I never came out here and was like, "Yep, I haven't been going around to everybody I know going, yep, I'm DBW." And I
never recall you on shows saying, "Yeah, I'm DBW." I don't recall you saying I'm on their shows. I don't remember.
To show a little bit of a part of the truth here, I was the guy that kept coming on here and then talking to other guys off the air saying that I wanted to get some time in with DBW for two reasons.
And you're also the guy that introduced me to Roland Havoc and all these DBW guys. If it wasn't for you, I would never have mentioned DBW. I would never.
Well, that's an interesting concept. That is a very interesting fact that you just said right there. So we're gonna story tell again.
Go for it.
I like the storybooks. Some of these guys like with pop-up pictures. I like storybooks that you got good depth to. So we're gonna get some good depth in here.
Go for it.
I'm this bully. Apparently, I'm this bully. And I'm this asshole, and I'm this hard to work with guy, and I'm a glory hound, and I'm selfish, and I'm all these things that are bad with wrestling. Yet, since 1990, I don't know, 6? 97, 96, somewhere in there, I have consecutively done everything I could to add, contribute, develop, and help others and wrestling organizations to create. That has been my main motivation with wrestling, to create. Simply to create, to bridge things together, to make things grow.
That's what Summer Bash is about, right?
Right? Yeah, that's what I think it is. And it comes down to, you think about, so I'll go through a laundry list of things that I've done in the last almost 3 decades.
Go for it.
I helped my cousin, Ed, and my brother, Steve, create LCW, along with other people, such as Andrew. I'll say some names that none of you guys are going to know. None of these guys are going to, not even the Biwa guys. Andrew Gerhardt. Well, they'll know one name. They will know one name. And that man is Ryan Kraven. We called him Mac Daniels. We lost him tragically before he was time for him to really go. Back in 2019. Mac Daniels, Louis Omega, Andrew Gerhardt, Scott and Edward Wiley, Kenny Zarowski, Dennis and Stan Posey, Joey and Steve Dudley. Yeah, we had our own Dudley boys. That was their real name. And they were brothers. And so many others. So many other people. Because back in my neighborhood growing up, you had 3 things that you did as a teenager. Either you wound up in juvenile hall, you wound up as a teen parent, or you did something with growth that either got you to succeed or thrive and get the hell out of that neighborhood.
I think that was 2 of the 3 things I had in Brooklyn. I didn't have the second one, which was teen
right?
pregnancy, thankfully.
And one of the
But I
main
could
things,
see 2 of the 3 where I grew up. I think there was a lot of kids I knew that definitely were jail candidates, and you talked about they were athletes, and you could tell that they were like,
a lot of these
boneheaded
guys,
for the gang. Yeah, I
a
got
lot
2
of
out of
these guys, I wanted them to be a part of Lansdowne Championship Wrestling, which was LCW.
Okay.
Because I figured if you had something like this to take an outlet on, take anything that you needed and use it as an outlet, whether you enjoyed it or you use it for other reasons, it gave you that. And a lot of those guys benefited from that. A lot of those guys. And, I was a part of other organizations that I helped grow. UWO, UWF, CWF, EWF, MUW, ICP. No, not the band. ICP.
We have Brian White already, who was a juggalo, so I got that. Okay.
It stood for International Championship Pros. That's what it stood for. Okay. These are all different organizations that I had a hand in helping them grow, where even if I helped create it, someone else ran it. I did my booking years were when I was a teenager prior to me going to wrestling school. When I got out of wrestling school, I wanted so badly to learn more about the backstage stuff than I did the in-ring stuff, to believe it or not, because I wanted to know how the whole machine worked. And I became a obsessed student of the game, learning everything I could from the backstage to the front stage. And for all the BWA guys that may watch this, or all the DBW guys that know the BWA guys that may watch this, that think that BWA was this great thing, or anything that spawned off of BWA, I'll give you a history lesson. And if you have any connectivity to these names, any kind of connection to these names, you're welcome. Okay? Chris Butler, Joel Butler, Jacob Practice, D.T. Gray, Ronald Scott, Stephen Blanchard, Josh Dreamer, Eric Stone, Christopher Stone, Thomas the Franchise, Roland Havoc.
I heard of Thomas the Franchise. Go ahead.
Eric the Kid Taylor, Gene Ricketts, Mac Daniels, Brad Brzee, Dave Gibson. If you have any connection to any of those names, or you met someone through that person that met them through that person, they tell 2 friends and they tell 2 friends, because a lot of that roster in BWA got built off of word of mouth. Every one of those names I just said, I personally recruited. And they wouldn't have been what they were, and BWA wouldn't have been what it was, or probably even existed, if I hadn't planted those seeds. And
I could see all that, but I have a follow-up to that. I know a lot of people want to talk to you, and I'm going to get them in here in a second, but you mentioned a lot of names there in the past. Was there a name you think in the past that might be specifically where you had an issue with somebody that maybe you think potentially Mr. Wakefield would know, that would be feeding him that information? All the names, you have a long list of names you wrestled with in the past. Is there a name you think you had a problem with?
It could be anybody from BWA. It has to be. But I'm not going to point a finger, because that's why I'm here to do that. I just know that for anybody that might watch this in the future, I say this. If you have an issue with me, you get a hold of me and talk to me. Either personally, or you can do it on here. Tom, if you'll let him do it, Tom.
I would, of course I would, but has he, let me ask you this question. Has he ever spoken to you via telephone? Has he messaged you at all? Have you ever had any, Mr. Wakefield?
No, he doesn't. We don't have any. Me and this individual have, from my memory or my knowledge, we have no connection whatsoever in our lives.
You guys aren't even Facebook friends.
No.
Okay.
So I say this. to anybody. So anybody that put this young child, this guy that's just trying to wrestle and start his own thing and do his thing, whoever put this individual up to doing this as a patsy to spread your bullshit.
I mean, he's even training still to be a wrestler. I mean, he's been on the indies, but he's actually getting training still. So, I mean, relatively speaking, his independent run is not necessarily anything that's, I don't know, significant, like guys that have been here like Vito Fratelli, who's wrestled Alexander Hammerstone, TJ Perkins, a guy I know, James Fury, even, people that have come on this platform like RP Davis, Dean Allmark. I mean, I love Chase Wakefield dearly. This is not a situation where I'm trying to pile on anybody. And
the point is this: you have no connection. He has no connection with me. He doesn't know me from Adam. Period. He doesn't know anything about my life.
Hurting you, so he's not hurting you, really. There's no like.
But I'm also not here to attack him because, like I said in the beginning, I saw right through that shit.
Well, do you think then that his goal then is to poison the well for people like Omen Black, Soldier GP? Is it?
I don't know. Maybe this is something having to do with DBW shooting a shot across the bow because they were mad. But the funny thing is
right.
The funny thing is a week and a half ago when Judgment was on here, I wasn't the one shooting at Judgment. Steele was.
Right.
I was the one that actually defended this man's roster. As selfish as I so call them.
A lot of people were kind of surprised you did that because it was kind of, was put out there things that kind of went on there. And I didn't get the impression that you were really burying DBW here. And, I think that their roster again, took things and misinterpreted. I want to say something for a second and I'll come back to it. XCW, there's been a lot of issues, but XCW, we bring them on again. And to be honest, it's water under the bridge because really their locker room knows that it's really, really an issue of one or two people. Whereas in DBW still, there's almost this kind of, I don't know, weird kind of, I don't want to say it's cultish behavior, but just weird kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like it's the same. I don't know. Am I wrong? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's, let's be real.
XCW,
let's be here real, and I may piss some people off when I say this. For fuck's sake, it's backyard and underground wrestling. Grow the fuck up.
But we've seen even DBW aligned guys have kind of said, oh, this person has to be trained and that person has to be trained as if they're the Bible. When everybody at the end of the day, I mean, also DBW doesn't have a license to be in a company. So they're a year away. I don't understand.
I've had one issue with anybody affiliated with DBW. And that man was Mr. Damien Fatale. Years ago, when I tried, that's something before me and him to discuss.
What I'm trying to get at is that there's no real issue. You have no issue with Chase Wakefield, and
I have no issues with any of them. That's the problem.
Me neither. I gotta be honest. I got no issues with
what I meant earlier when I said, "What brings a man with no motivation up onto a show publicly to literally try to bury another person's credibility?"
Do you think that he's trying to get extra bookings?
I don't know what he's doing.
I'm just curious. I don't know. I mean, I like Chase Wakefield. I like everybody. I mean, really, for the most part, that comes here. I'm just trying to understand what, from your vantage point, do you think was the reason why he might have said things that he said? Now, I think that some things people would take, and I
think someone put him up to it. That's my opinion of that. Somebody put him up to it.
And you don't know who that is, right?
Logically, there's only one logical way to look at that. Somebody said, "Hey, youngin, go up there and run your mouth about Kraven." Illogically, I couldn't fucking tell you because I've thought about this for several days, trying to figure out why, if it's not somebody else telling him or influencing him, why does this man come out here and do this?
Let me ask you this question, and I know a lot of people want to get into comments. I'm going to go out and say something totally different. And I'm trying to, maybe because my background comes from the world of politics. So I know how these games are played. I've served in some relatively high capacity positions. And usually what happens though, if somebody gives me advice or tells me something, I might think about it and then try to make a hypothetical guess, or I might want to ask other people and then kind of think about for myself, what's the right way to go forward? Do you think in this case that Mr. Wakefield didn't do that? Was he a sheep, you might want to say, from your vantage point? Or did Mr. Wakefield get a whole number of opinions, but still on his own didn't make that inference? He's about, what, 17, 18 years younger than you. So obviously he doesn't have the life experience. He doesn't have the experience in, well, anything in life compared to you. You're a first responder. You've raised a family. You've gone out there and done things in the wrestling world, whether people like it or not. You've obviously don't need any of this. I'm just trying to figure out, did he take somebody's word as gospel, or did he take multiple opinions? And did
it could have been, it could be one, it could be
I'm trying
multiple.
to think
You're right.
about
No,
what
you're
he
right.
did.
It could be one, it could be multiple. Now, to shed some light on it, was I the most favorite person in the Biwa locker room? Nope.
Okay,
Because
so that
while everybody was living their fantasy, I was very grounded and realistic.
well, that's why I asked you, were there people in that locker room that maybe didn't? Because we've established that you really only know a few guys from DBW. This is more about your past. This is what it
the
sounds
Biwa locker room was a lot more like high school in the 90s. You're old enough to understand. It might be that way now. It's been a while since I've been to high school. So that's why I say that time frame. Where, you walk into the cafeteria, you got the cool kids at this table, you got a stereotyped group at that table, the great geeks at this table. That was kind of like the presence of the Biwa locker room. Everybody had their own little cliques.
I get it. Yep, I get it.
Everybody had their own little cliques or group of favorites and blah, 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 blah. And then there were those handful of guys that kind of just nonchalantly just messed around with everybody. Right? And I was one of those guys that, all right, I don't have any personal kinships with any of you people. I show up, I say hello, I shake your hand, I show that respect. I do my match. I stay and I watch the rest of the show to show, you watch my match. I guess I with respect, I'll watch your match, say goodbye to everybody and leave. Now, yes, there were a lot of times in Biwa where I did leave early or I called out. Because I was also called a no-shower during bookings, during that video with Chase Wakefield.
What was that about? Well, he alluded to the fact that you have not shown up to places, and you talked about James Taylor not showing up, and he had said you didn't show up. I'm curious.
Every time that I didn't show up at Biwa, it was arranged, spoken about, and approved by the booker himself. Every time, except for one. There was one incident where I called him literally with only hours before showtime and told him I could not make it. And that was because of work.
And I got called in work. There was no issue when you weren't able to perform. Was there ever an issue when you?
There were times that I went to heel. I would take off to heel, or I would take off to. There was a time I got my back hurt really bad, and I think I was out of wrestling for a month or two.
Okay.
There were times I did take off shows, not miss, not book, not be booked on the show, and then just, I don't give a shit, I ain't showing. It was all scheduled properly. With either
would you like to ever speak with Chase Wakefield live on here? Would you ever want to have a conversation?
I have no problem doing that. But that brings me to another point with that. It's like, I don't recall this man ever being in Biwa. So how does he know, like I said, how does he know what goes on? Just like, how do you know anything about me? You don't know me. How do you know anything about what happened in Biwa when you weren't in Biwa?
And he talked about the Chavo Guerrero thing as if that was a fact.
He got his years mixed up as much of a fan of wrestling he is.
He talked about the fact that, you had basically didn't want to lose the talent. He talked about the fact about Glenn Jacobs. You're telling us here it's a completely different story.
You know what I did for the first 4.5 to 5 years of my time in Biwa?
Tell us.
I jobbed to everyone. I put every person over because that was the way the booker saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it professionally, calmly, and with a smile on my face. Does that sound like somebody that doesn't like to lose?
I mean, that's, I think, certainly a valid,
And I'm not saying anything you can't prove on your own. To anybody watching, go to the Beeble YouTube page, watch the videos. I lost more of those matches in those videos than I won.
Well, I have a lot of comments. I want to get to people. There's a lot of people that really want to talk about this, and I want to be able to get them in. I want to say hello to my buddy Osiris from ESW Shockwave. He's going to be here 2 weeks from Tuesday, goes into the Hall of Fame. He is a legend. Greatness is the greatest, and he is here, and I look forward to seeing him. He's enjoying the show. Zilla, who's kind of like our resident bot on Sportswire Radio, just wants to say the usual.
What's up?
Omen would like to say, if anyone is a part of a clique of guys who want Summer Bash to fail, go after. So that's why I asked that question, if that was something that is a point, but it seems like I don't think that's the case.
That's the thing. Yeah. These people were, if this is an attack from DBW or anybody affiliated with DBW, you gentlemen were invited peacefully.
Yeah, I honestly don't, personally, I don't think it's anything to do with DBW.
Like, get over it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I honestly don't think this is anything to do with DBW. I think the DBW issue, it's water under the bridge. I said it when Judgment was here. At the end of the day, people are going to do what they want. They're entitled to do whatever they want. I don't think anybody's in the interest. Yeah.
Then I'll say this. If it's a Biwa thing, and this is somebody from Biwa saying this shit, get the fuck over it. Biwa's been out of business for years.
But there are people, as you know, that just never get over things. I mean, look.
But then, like I said earlier, this is
if anybody watched WCW,
this is in fucking high school.
But if you watch the Who Killed WCW documentary, Bret Hart's still going off about Goldberg. I mean, people don't get over things easily. Unfortunately, that is the world that we live in, and
we are all grown-ass men and women that get involved with wrestling. If you're going to hold on to something that somebody else put in your head, or if you're gonna hold on to something yourself. This is backyard or underground wrestling. We ain't get paid to do this shit. We're putting our bodies on the line for this shit just to have some fucking fun and to enjoy something that we love watching or we're a fan of, right? This isn't fucking real life politics. This isn't fucking, the war shit that's going on with, Ukraine and Russia. This isn't real life fucking shit. I got a stack of bills on my desk and a stack of fucking things on my bulletin board over here that I have responsibility.
This
is real life. This is, and I, like I said, I'll piss people off when I say this. I love wrestling. I do. I really love wrestling. It's a big part of my life. It's always been a big part of my life. But if somebody's going to harbor this and they're going to act like children or high school fucking drama bullshit over this shit, instead of just being professional or just having fun doing it, grow the fuck up.
But I think that you make a point, is that, again, you're a grown man with a family, and, Chase Wakefield, with all due respect, doesn't have those responsibilities. He's not, a family man. He doesn't have to worry about paying his mortgage or paying his rent. He's obviously, young in the world. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. Trust me. I mean, you, though, on the other hand, though, are a family man. You're a first responder. You go out there, you don't know if your life's going to be in God's hands. You don't know what's going to go on. You go out there every day and you go out and serve the state of Maryland. You just don't know what's going to happen. I think that's an interesting point. And, is somebody that's, lived in the world with first responders and, somebody that's been in the world of politics, I can understand those things. So, I mean, and that's no shade on Chase. Chase is a friend of mine, but I think that's an interesting point that you bring up, because sometimes we get lost in this bubble of backyard and underground wrestling. And, Jack Delta kind of alluded to on Friday shows, like, look, I go out there, I have to work 50 hours a week. I got to travel, blah, 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 blah. And that's an interesting point that you make, because we come on here and we think, oh, we're in this bubble. And, I don't know if what Chase Wakefield's deal is compared to yours, but I think it's safe to say he's not a family man. He's not worrying about a roof over his head.
You're right. Like, you don't have to pay bills. Like right now, I put it on Facebook, Tom. I know you saw it. I just bought a brand new truck.
I saw it. I like it.
$900 car payment.
I know. Trust me. Listen,
it is a $900 car payment for that $50,000 truck I have sitting outside.
I'm
afraid to say it.
No, listen, right? Trust me. I mean, I
over the last couple weeks and the last couple days especially, have had to strategically just go through my budget to make sure that everything works out perfectly.
And I'm probably safe to
so
say
that I can do that.
He hasn't gone through
getting that and make it to Summer Bash. Why? Because I told 4 individuals a year ago that I would show up to this event for them. For the show.
No, and I just want to say, I know a lot of people still want to get into the chat, and I want to do that shortly. I do think that you have a lot of passion. I think you have given time for people. I do think that you have gone above and beyond the means of being. I think you are a friend, and I always say the same things on and off the air. So from those vantage points, I stand with my guys. I mean, I love Chase Wakefield, but I love you more because, in a sense, you've been here a lot, and I think that ultimately,
I appreciate that. I mean, like I said, I'm not upset that they put this guy. I'm not upset at Chase. I really am not upset with Chase, and a lot of people think that I am. I am not upset with Chase. I think this is a man that is put in a position with some stories or some gossip that someone put him up to this.
And he's a young, with all due respect to Chase, and I love Chase dearly as well, but Chase is a young man. He wouldn't, from this vantage point, have the life experiences.
But I got the message. But you're right, but I got the message. The message is, let's go attack Kraven's integrity, not his wrestling character, his real character, his real person, and his credibility.
Right.
I mean, you talk about real life things of families and kids and jobs. I mean, and I'm being called selfish and a glory hound and all these bad things. Look at what I do for work. I'm an ERT, an emergency response tech. My job description is that every time there's a major emergency on the highway, I am there to treat, and manage the highway situation so these people make it home to their families. That's what I do for a living. I make sure that people get home to their families every night.
I think that that's something to seriously ponder and consider, and and I think that, with all due respect, that's certainly something.
My point is, nothing a part of my character, my credibility, or my integrity, or who I am as an individual says anything that describes a selfish individual.
No, listen, I think that I do think you come on here. I do think you help guys. I do think that you try. I think that, obviously, look, you can't, everybody's going to have their opinions. At the end of the day, I do think that you're here, and I'm happy to have you here, and I'm happy to have anybody that I think is here to contribute, and you do those things. Tom flexing his bands never gets old. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. To Jack Delta Fridays. Guessing Zilla with more comments. Zilla, are your parents related? Ox McCoy. By the way, I want to give Ox again thoughts and prayers on his father. Just unfortunately last week lost his father. Ox, really want to pray for him. Yep. Zilla, are you a human? And the Zilla talks continue. Anthony Steele, hello to you, sir. Hello to you, sir. We'll have a Summer Bash preview show Thursday night, 10 o'clock Eastern time. You'll be down there. You'll be here. Also, Soldier GP is here right after Raw tomorrow to be inducted into the Hall of Fame for a second time. And speaking of Summer Bash coverage continuing, Darkron, the man you're going to meet for the first time in Bremen, is going to be there as well. James Taylor's in the house. He's saying hello to everybody. Love that. Want to say hello to one of my upcoming guests here, Greg, by the way, who's over in GAC, Georgia, over there in Georgia Intensity. So want to say hello to him, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Breakpoint Wrestling as well. Breakpoint Wrestling. I'm definitely going to see him very soon on Sportswire. I had a great conversation. D'Angelo the Flame definitely knows who that is. Yep. And they know each other because so D'Angelo was everywhere. He was in Atlanta last week, in Alabama this weekend, and you're going to be meeting D'Angelo the Flame. You're going to be meeting him next weekend down there at Summer Bash. And yes, I want to say that I wasn't just referring to CJ Black. This has been out there in the grapevine. So I do want to say that this is actually this is not, I know what he's referring to, and this is just to clarify. There's been other people, when I asked you that question about you being DBW, there have been other people that had said the same type of thing. So this is actually in addition to what CJ mentioned. So I want to say that there are other people out there that I had heard about this from. So that's why I didn't say any names, because I've heard this from a few other people. That's why I like to put it out there. But again,
it was looking like I was going to be.
Yeah, because I heard this from a few other people. This is not a CJ Black thing. I've heard this before that. So I want to put
I know.
Yeah. So this is nothing, and CJ is great. He's not. This is nothing to do with him actually. So that point, I appreciate him being stand up because he's a stand up guy, and I do like Chase a lot, and it's what it is. Things happen. Hello to Il Drago. I think Il Drago is going to be down there at Summer Bash. I believe he's going to be there this weekend coming up, and no Yeet. Ox McCoy is having some fun. Feeling Usi is okay. Not every day will be macho. Let's move away from Zilla. Also, what championship title are you aiming for to win? Well, he's at Summer Bash, so that's I don't know if you're aiming.
Is that to me or someone else?
I don't know. No, D'Angelo the Flame.
Oh, okay. Good. I don't need no damn title.
I was gonna say,
too old for that shit.
And James, obviously, shout out to James because ROEW is playing a huge role at Summer Bash. We have JX in the house, and we have Jason Storm in the house, at the very least, plus more that are going to be there at Summer Bash. So ROEW is playing a huge role at Summer Bash. James Taylor doing a great job as the greatest owner right now in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit. Big shout outs to ROEW. ROEW is killing it right now. Very happy about that. That's tomorrow. Yes, Soldier GP is in the house right after Raw. DG Colt, by the way, says he's a Kraven guy. Now, you speak the truth, and DG Colt is here all the time. He knows his stuff. He's a straight shooter, and I think that's what tonight is. We're having a rather straight talk conversation. That's kind of the weight here. And also, Il Drago says he can't wait to meet you at Summer Bash. So there you go. Zilla's excited.
I can't wait to meet a lot of these guys. It's going to be an exciting weekend. I think it's going to be an exciting weekend.
Oh, I'm very excited about it. Listen, Summer Bash is a great thing. And you know what? I think at the end of the day, Chase Wakefield, it is what it is, right? I think people, yeah. I think Summer Bash is what I'm looking forward to. We got all.
I'll say this directly to Chase, and when he watches, or if he watches, hopefully he takes it with full purity in it, because this isn't a hateful message here. If you want to get to know me, or you want to know who I am, or you want to have some sort of contact with me, contact me. We'll talk bullshit. We can joke. We can do whatever. No problem. I am a busy person.
I think tonight was honestly just.
I am a pretty busy person with my work and with kids and with everything that I got going in my life. But I do, as everybody else that has talked to me off the air, I do make time here and there to try to talk to people.
No, and I got to be honest, you have. There's no question. I think that you've done those things. I think that obviously,
So I say this directly to him. It's, if you want to know me, dude, reach out. All right? Right? I ain't pissed. I know what this is. I've been doing this long enough, and I've been around long enough. I wasn't born yesterday. I've been around long enough to know what this really is. And as a piece of advice, any stories or any BS or gossip you hear from someone who claims to know me or know what I'm about, this is a real life lesson. If you want to know someone, go off your own personal experiences. Don't take no one's word for it. Do the research yourself. You want to know somebody, have your own opinion based off your own personal interactions, not off what somebody else is telling you. Because you may not always get the truth out of someone else.
But I think tonight, honestly, what I take away from it is like, look, he had things he wanted to say. You had things you wanted to say. It sounds to me like at the end of the day that if it all wants to be where you guys, there's no reason for you guys to really do anything but move forward. You've got Summer Bash to look forward to. You're always going to be a part of this platform. He's always going to be a part of this platform. And he's doing good things, and you're doing great things. And I want to spend the last few minutes on Summer Bash because I'm not going to give him a half an hour, but I want to move to the.
And clearly, this did not, like you said earlier, this clearly did not get the response I guess they might have been looking for. They didn't get me coming on here acting like Chris Kraven, the asshole.
Well, to be fair, I got to say, Anthony, I love you dearly, and I'm going to make sure that you're obviously going to be a big part of Summer Bash. But I think that one of the things that Coach did tonight was what you did differently was you told the judgment. You told them to come on here, and they were very prepared. He came on here and gave them a plain spoken conversation. He addressed his opinion, very civil, very respectful. And I think that that's honestly, he showed a lot of professionalism in that sense. Whereas I love you dearly, but you gave Judgment time to rally his entire locker room to come defend him, and you got a tough environment. And I think looking back, that was a big mistake. It was a big mistake. You didn't have the backup. You didn't have the numbers.
That's fine.
He was a master. No, he was a master politician that was able to get his locker room behind him because he's not Fletch, where his locker room listens to him. They're loyal to him, and he got them out. And it kind of, it put where you were what it was. And I think the difference here tonight was Coach was respectful. He talked about a lot of things he refuted. There was a lot of things I think people can make their decision for, and we can move forward to Summer Bash, and you guys are going to be seeing each other. I understand we have a big show at 10 o'clock on Thursday. I'm here to promote, and I understand you're going to be down there.
One of the main reasons why I'm not liked from the past.
Why?
I just went and the thought just popped into my head. A lot of people that did business with me at a wrestling show did business with me while I was in character or was preparing to be in character. So a lot of people that I know from Biwa are used to seeing the asshole Kris Kraven that you guys see up here and more.
No, but I think you were.
And not a lot of people know the real personal me.
Hey, Kris, can I tell you something? You want to know why a lot of people don't like me? And why they don't like doing business with me?
Let me take a guess. You're the most controversial figure in backyard and underground
wrestling.
You're
a chicken, not a beef guy. You're a beef guy, but not a chicken guy. Why? What?
Hey, Tom.
Yes,
side note, what you just said, merch coming out.
Well, you're gonna be buying it.
But it's already out on my shop. So
all right, I'll have to buy more.
But no, it's because I am my character. I am me, and I'm going to be controversial whether someone likes it or not. For the simple fact that I'm gonna speak what I believe in. But we're not here to talk about what happened with me and Mr. Judgment. There's one reason I'm here.
Wakefield and him is over. To me,
it's about what happens in 5 days, Kris.
Oh yeah.
In 5 days' time.
And Thursday night, I understand you guys are going to be here, 4th of July fireworks. I mean, you want to talk about the Macy's Day fireworks? They're going to pale into comparison to what we have planned here on Sportswire Radio, because I think a slew of you guys are all going to be here and going to have to try to fight each other to grab a microphone.
And you know what? You want to talk about characters? Whether I'm just being Kris,
we have a lot of them going to be here on Thursday.
Whether I'm just being Kris or I'm being Kraven. As I sit here and eat my spaghetti, do I look worried?
Not really. No.
Do I look worried? Do I look worried?
My pasta.
Do I look worried?
I listen to you run your mouth with your comb over, buddy.
Yes, sir. Never forget this comb over. Never.
And by the way, DG
actually it's a brush over because I can't get a comb through this thing.
I got to give DG Colt one reference. He compares you now to the new Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, hashtag that's my favorite legend of all time. So I mean, I'm okay with that.
I thought Kris Kraven was your favorite legend.
I'll say he's the most respectful underground legend that I know. I respect him the most. I'll say that.
Okay. I thought
that's me. That's me being.
Kraven Rage was second, by the way. I thought Kraven Rage was second.
Hell no.
Are you guys excited or what to meet Kraven Rage at Summer Bash? You guys are so excited about that or what? Well, he's Sinister now because he's not Kraven Rage anymore. But you guys must be really excited about meeting him this coming weekend. No. Boy, I think we went from like shoot times and now almost like we're drawing. We went from shooting.
I'll say this: he hasn't been up here a lot lately, so it's kind of hard to get excited about someone who's made himself seem very scarce.
Well, to be honest, I mean, I've had so many people that are want to be here. It's we used to have Kraven like every 4 days on Sportswire. Now it's almost like he's got to be the back of the line, respectfully. Well, he'll be here though next week at some point.
Oh, I don't want to hear that. Everybody and their mama pops in here once in a while.
But we need people to talk.
My mama don't.
Well, I don't like to talk about people's personal business, but I will say that Kraven Rage will be back here. But I mean, it's there's other people that have wanted to be here. Like you wanted to be here.
5 days. The clock's ticking.
Are you guys going to be able to coexist in the same room before the match? I mean, I think that's what people want to know.
For me,
yeah.
I get off work at 4:00 Wednesday afternoon. And as soon as I get off of work, I'm coming home for about 3 hours, and I'm hitting the road. I will be at location.
Okay.
At the arena or whatever you want to call it.
At the Summer Bash Arena. At the Summer Bash Arena.
By the time the sun comes up Thursday morning, I will be there.
I won't. I'll be at that time. I'll be
on the road.
I'll be on the road. I'm leaving at like me, D'Angelo, and Drake Gold Dragon will be hitting the road at 3 a.m. Thursday morning.
Oh wow!
So,
but I know you'll be here at 10 o'clock. I know that.
Oh, 100%.
I know that you'll be.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm probably gonna be stuffing my face around that time because, like, bro, that's a 10.5-hour trip. So,
from what I understand, a lot of these guys are going to be showing up on Thursday.
I've heard through the grapevine late afternoon is what I've
training. Let's go.
I've heard through the grapevine late afternoon. That's what I've heard. That guys are coming in on Thursday. Are you guys going to be able to coexist in the same room before Summer Bash? I mean, that's going to be. You guys are opponents. Yeah, you guys are opponents. What's that going to be like?
I think the respect factor is there.
I got my own private area. It's all right. He can go off and do his own thing.
I'll fucking kick down that private area's door. What are you talking about? Look, man. We're 5 days away. We're 5 days away from seeing what, and I say this with respect, what the old Indies guys can do versus the new indie guys can do. And that's what I'm waiting to see. Is I want to mix it up with the old school. The actual old school. And I think that come Friday, come bell time, when you walk out that curtain, when I walk out that curtain, when we step inside that squared circle, they're going to wish they would have had someone better to main event that fucking night. Because opening match, they gave us opening match. Listen, me and you about to do what James Taylor and me did at season finale 5. We're going to open the show and we're going to kill it way better than the main event can.
Well, I'm excited about it. I think a lot of people listen. Summer Bash is really, to me, everybody should want this to be what WrestleMania is. To me, Summer Bash, it doesn't matter if you're not wrestling there, not a part of it. It's all good for everybody. It's all a positive, healthy thing that gives guys a chance to mingle, network, make friendships. And that's what it's about, open collaboration. All wrestling matters. I mean, we're even seeing it. Bull by the Horns taking over in NEW. Jake Matthews has created an All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Championship. And to be with us here before we close the show, Omen Black is in the house. Omen, I know it's your show, so had to see you for a few minutes before we sign off. And, how you feeling? What did you think about tonight? And just anything else you want to say before you meet these gentlemen? Well, Anthony, you've obviously shared a locker room with him, defeated him before, but we'll not mention that.
I've shared a backyard with him.
I said locker room to make it look more important.
It's probably the first locker room we share.
I thought tonight was interesting, but me personally, Kraven, I don't think you're thinking about this enough. I think Tom's on the right track. I think that someone was fed information from a friend of yours who you don't want to believe it is, but it most likely it probably is.
Roland Havoc was the guy that you've known for 20 years. I mean, if we're going to talk about that, I mean,
if it's Roland, if it is in fact Matthew, sorry, I'm trying to chew at the same time. If it's Matt, it's Matt. Oh well. Where'd he go? He come on for 3 seconds?
No, he'll be back. He'll be his Wi-Fi probably. See, I told you he'll be back.
If it's Matt, if it was Matt, then it was Matt. But the message is still the same. If someone has a problem with me, deal with me directly. Don't send some young kid to do your
There's
dirty
a
work.
weird environment there in that locker room. There's people in that locker room that don't. They're trying to go about it the political way, but I'm going to be honest. XCW, there's been a lot of things out there and said out there, but you know what? Their guys, they all want to be here still. It's really the issue with XCW is
someone's echoing really bad.
That's Omen. I'm going to put him on mute before he comes
back.
Is it me? Yeah. So what I want to say is that XCW, everybody's happy again. It's really, to me, one or two men. But in the other locker room where you could be having information fed, there's still a weirdness there. I don't know for sure. I couldn't tell you with certainty what goes on in terms of who's feeding information, but he's a man. Matthew Manning has known you for 20 years. Can't deny that.
What? And the funny thing is,
better now.
If it's somebody that
Thank you.
yeah, a little bit, yeah. If it's someone personally that I know,
there's guys that want to keep
people
their
are too
spot,
scared to do that nowadays.
Other than that, I don't
guys
give a
that want to
shit.
be in the good graces, guys that are looking to finish their career, get a couple of years left, get a good run. They'll sacrifice. Listen, I've seen it in the world of politics. People that I thought were my friends, they put the knife in my back to try to get a bigger paycheck, get a bigger position on a campaign. I've seen it.
One of the reasons why I didn't point any fingers at anybody, I made some mentions of some names. And you mentioned Rowan Havoc's name.
Matthew Manning doesn't come on this
like I said, if it's somebody that I know
though.
personally, you know how to deal with me personally.
But their roster, I'm sure, gets information fed to them. He was on their roster. Again, I love Chase Wakefield. Nothing wrong with him at all. But, there's no question that if you're saying it's possible information is fed, I have to ask the question as, unbiasedly. Matthew Manning has known you. He goes back to those days. He would certainly be a name that could, again, I have nothing against him. I have no issues with him. But, I'm just saying that could be a potential thing because he'd like to obviously finish his career out. He's obviously at the top of the card over there. He works in different places. He's content and he's playing the game. Listen, everybody plays the game.
And I want to, say one thing about what you said tonight, Tom. You don't think there's a group of guys who want to see Summer Bash fail, and I kind of disagree with that. Maybe I got the wrong impression, but why wouldn't some people want to see this fail? Because they didn't come up with it first. Why wouldn't someone?
Because they're the ones that can't say that they're the only ones collaborating. That's why.
And I think the people who want it to fail are the people who are not attending as management figures, like a certain.
And I want to put it out there. You know what? There's a lot that's been said about XCW, but XCW guys are at Summer Bash. They're there.
But that's them doing it against what the owner wants.
But their owner, right? Mm-hmm. Who, unlike in the other place, told everybody not to go. And they went and followed the line, right? They walked the line.
That's
right?
a cult. I've said it, Tom.
They walked the line, right? But they walked the line. But
they drink the Kool-Aid.
XCW,
hallelujah to the
XCW though. People want to be there. They're there. That's my point. People want to be there. They're there.
I'm coming there specifically for two reasons: to help and to have some fun. Right? A lot of other people are coming there to have some fun, maybe get away for the weekend, whatever they got to do.
July 4th weekend, extended
I second
weekend,
that one.
good time, meet new people, make friendships, open collaboration. I think this is great. I think it's going to be a great event. I think we're going to see a lot of it play out throughout the week on Sportzwire Radio. Soldiers here tomorrow night. We got a slew of guys here Thursday night. We're supposed to get. I'm not supposed to have Saturday because you're saying it's not going to happen, but I'm sure we'll have something over the weekend with guys who'll talk about their experiences. Andrew Lovelace is here Tuesday night next week to talk about his experience in Summer Bash. I'm sure we'll have a slew of other people, and we're going to have a good time. And I think that I'm excited about it. Look, at the end of the day, who cares what people think? Who cares if anybody doesn't want to be at Summer Bash? We got a lot of great people that are going to be there. It's all about open collaboration. I'm excited about it. And, we'll go from there, really. And that's it. Anybody want to say?
One of the reasons why I'm not pissed off, like I said, I come up here, I professionally defend my integrity or my character, not my wrestling character, me, Kris. And my credibility, as peacefully as I can. This wasn't a shoot.
I think you did a good job. I tell you what,
if these people felt that this was going to get a rise out of me, where I was going to come up here and make a fool out of myself, joke's on you.
No, I think
I don't care enough I don't care enough to let it get to me.
No, I honestly, I think tonight people, they heard your side of the story. We had a lot of people tuned in, and I think that people, I think that people will look at it and say, look, this is a common thing in wrestling. One guy's going to say another thing, the other person's going to say another.
The
But at the end of
backstage
the
drama is something I was never a part of then, and it's something I won't be a part of now.
And it's not going to be that because Chase Wakefield and you aren't going to be at Summer Bash together. So how could there be backstage drama? Because he said something here, you said something there, right?
It's the whole reason that I stopped wanting to be involved in Maryland underground or backyard wrestling.
Because this is also why I say I don't get involved in stuff like this. I don't get involved
in locker rooms turned
losing.
into a childish cesspool of drama and drugs. You want to be clear about it, drama and drugs.
Oh, I'm sure of that. But that's why, I let you guys do what you got to do. I think people want to enjoy it. They're going to have a good time. Life is too short. You're a first responder. Guys here are working and struggling. Let's forget about all that stuff. At the end of the day, he had something to say, and that's it. You had something to say and move on. And obviously, I want to close the show out because we have a slew of shows coming. Anthony, I know you want to say something after Kris. Go ahead, Coach.
To Omen and Soldier and Dark Crown and Forsaken, if they're still watching.
Omen's
the
right
one
there,
reason that I got back into that I agreed to get back into the ring is because of the equality and the presence of actual enjoyment that was described about what this show is going to be. It's supposed to be a fun get together of a lot of people coming from all different states to enjoy something we all have in common. And that to me was one of the main reasons why I said, all right, I want to be a part of that. Because if it's peaceful, drama-free, enjoyable, fun wrestling action, I'm good with it. And you and Soldier and Dark Crown and Forsaken did a really good job a year ago explaining everything to me thoroughly about how this was going to be and what it's all about. And that meant something, especially for me to put on a pair of boots after years of not doing it.
And look at their hard work and how many companies that they've gotten to attract. Resurrection Wrestling, who Anthony's from. D'Angelo the Flame, by proxy, works in AWL. He works in TBW. He works in NEW. They're here. You got people from WCE. You got people from almost all over CBW. You have
ROEW, OMW.
Next, ROEW, OMW. I mean, you got some really great places. I even hear some other companies I can't even say on the air that might show up as surprises. I mean, there's a lot of great companies that are here, and they want to be. You have a guy, Andrew Lovelace, who wrestles in independent wrestling companies throughout the Northeast. He's going to be in the house. I mean, you got some really companies because of what these guys, 4 guys had a dream, and Omen Black, Soldier GP, Matthew Forsaken, and Dark Crown. And that's why they're here. And they have almost 15 companies or so, give or take, that are here, and they're going to be a part of it. I mean, there's a whole list of other companies that are going to be a part of Summer Bash that I can't even say on the air because you have to tune in and find out when it's actually aired. I think that speaks volumes to the characters. XCW is going to be a part of it. We mentioned Resurrection, through proxy AWL, through proxy NEW, through proxy TBW, because of D'Angelo the Flame wrestling on their shows, through proxy a heck of a lot of other people. And I think that it speaks volumes of where we are. IMF, DKW, obviously. Again,
I'll say this, Tom. Even if we don't get all 15 companies, those guys in that clique that want to see it fail, it's too bad. It's not going to fail. It's not going to fail even if we get one new company attending besides last year when it was just DKW and IMF for Summer Bash 1. This year, Summer Bash 2, even if we just get one additional company, it's already a success.
No, listen, I think it's going to be something that's going to certainly be very successful, and I think a lot of people are going to be excited about it. We have coverage here Saturday night live for it. We'll be here.
It's going to be successful because that's the goal. And you shoot for that goal and you hit that goal. That's it. Simple as that.
And I think people are happy. I think people are going to have a great time. And I'm
going to have good time, wrestle, do what I love, and network and build camaraderie, build a business relationship with other guys, so we can start seeing other guys in IMF or see IMF guys go somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think that, you know what, to me tonight was just basically we had a conversation, and that was that. And I think we're building to Summer Bash. D'Angelo the Flame says it best. It's going to be the greatest. Don't worry about it. And exactly.
And to be fair about it, even if we all showed up, even if every one of these guys showed up to see that, and it was just a bunch of screw around matches and just a bunch of guys cooking out and having fun, it's still going to be fun and successful. Of all these, like you said, when all these people meeting each other and just having a good time.
IMF, DKW, WCE, ROEW, XCW, CBW, OMW, NEW, AWL, Resurrection Wrestling. You got others I can't even talk about. ALW is even going to be a part of it. We had the ALW guys here last night. A lot of great companies. But obviously, it's getting late here. I want to go around the room real quick. Anthony, I want to give you the floor real quick because I want to obviously end the show soon.
So the one thing I was going to say is I'm going to have a blast because, one, I get to be with my boys again. I get to be with some new guys that I ain't met yet that seem to be chill as fuck. But also, I found out that on my way to Summer Bash, while I'm driving, I'm going to get paid by my job for doing not a damn thing but traveling. So that's going to be awesome as fuck.
Oh,
but my closing thoughts is this. For those that are going to attend, including Kris, Omen, Soldier, Kron, Matt, every single person that wants to and is going to attend. If y'all's intentions to come out and have a great time, that's what's going to happen. If y'all think this is going to fail, you already gave up before it even happened. And trust me, we're going to turn that frown upside fucking down. Because we got 3 days of nothing but pure and utter wrestling. We got hardcore. We got technical. We got showboat. We got everything that wrestling needs to offer going on in a 3-day time plan. So
we just don't have Triple W. That's the only thing we're missing.
Wow, we're good. We're good without them. But
RCEW.
but look,
RCEW.
So what y'all need to understand is one thing is the whole movement of All Wrestling Matters is to bring people together and not tear each other apart. And that's what Summer Bash is going to bring. It's going to bring people together. Except this dumb fuck. He ain't coming in.
W if Anthony wins all 3 matches.
Yeah, you got me fucked up.
So I think it's.
Omen, if I have to win all 3 matches and then that brings Triple W there, Omen, I will lay down and I will let you pin me. This is the way Triple W will never pin.
When we get off there, I have a story from the latest Triple W wrestling show.
Well, I think that I could see we have people in the background, so I think we've got the point. We'll be here tonight.
Oh no, I actually want to introduce my son to Summer Bash because my son is going to be with me. My oldest boy is going to be with me at Summer Bash. He's coming along for the ride.
Nice.
And he's excited. He's looking forward to having fun too. He wants to offer his services to anybody on site. My son is a pretty damn good artist and can do anything with your T-shirts or your logos or whatever.
Wow. Okay.
This is something he made of Wayne's World. If you can see that properly.
Party on.
He's gonna be there, and he's gonna have his art tablet with him or his stuff with him, and he'll be able to do some things. And if I could come here, Max,
bring him on the show.
You can put your show on. This is Mr. Tom Bryce, Mr. Omen, and Mr. Anthony Steele. This is my oldest boy, Maddox.
Oh, what an honor to have you. He's
going to be helping out with Summer Bash, and he's excited to try to make some T-shirt stuff. He said $10. What he said? He said $10 a piece, but he's looking to draw some stuff for some people if they need it.
Well, you know what? I definitely want to give you my support, and I definitely want the people to give you a follow and check you out wherever you might be, and. Maybe one day we'll put you in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame for art and design work. How do you like that?
Sounds cool. Speak up.
I think sounds cool. That's okay. He's obviously starstruck by obviously his dad and.
Oh no, he's not starstruck. He's very excited about this show, though.
I think it's going to be great. There's so many people that are going to meet, and that's what it's so awesome about this event. You're getting people that never would have met, and they're making friendships. Sean Jovi and Remy Ravage are going to be back in a room together. How about that? You're going to see people from all over the world. D'Angelo LaFlame. You're going to see, what's that?
Say it again louder.
I said, I'm just down to see my dad kick some ass,
I think that obviously a lot of people are going to be
Wow,
excited.
Anthony, what do you think about that, bud?
This is one of the guys I'm fighting.
And I'm
It's
gonna
okay. It's okay. I won't hurt your dad that bad.
He also real quick. He also does a lot of work with digital music creation and coding. So if anybody wants to try to fiddle with custom songs,
Are you on TikTok or Instagram?
I just created mine, so it's going to be debuted
It's
at Summer
better
Bash.
than Loose Cannons 508, which I find
Well,
hard.
if I had more time, I would say that video again, but I don't. But I do want to say that I want to connect you, Kris, to D'Angelo LaFlame because he wants to help out your son. So I'm going to give you his info when we're off the air. So congratulations there. I'm going to make sure, and I'll definitely give you my support. So whatever I can do to help you, I'll definitely do that. Anybody that's the son of Kris Kraven's a friend of mine, and you got my support. You got my endorsement. So I'm going to do what I can to help you. Your father's a good man.
All right.
It's okay. Your father's a good man, and he's done a lot for the community, and he's a big part as to why Summer Bash is going on from July 5th to July 7th. So, that's kind
He's
of
lying. He's a bad guy.
No, he's not. He's not. He's not a bad guy, and everybody here is in it for the right reasons. And I think that's kind of where we are.
did you just say I'm a bad guy?
But
Owen
he's
was saying that
lying to you. Don't
Oh,
listen.
he already knows. Oh, he's had a front row seat to every part of what the real Kris Kraven is all about.
Well,
His
you know
whole life.
what? I'm gonna say no comment on that. I plead the fifth, but I'm excited.
This is where I'm the person he takes his shit talking lessons from.
Well, he's got the best, seat of anybody else out there. That's why he's going to go out and be one of the best around. And, obviously I'm excited for what's to come. Soldiers here Monday. I've got the TBW guys here Wednesday to go into the Hall of Fame. Thursday, we've got IMF DKW guys. Saturday, a lot of you guys are here, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of coverage next week afterwards. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And, I think we got Coach's side of the story out there. And Omen and Anthony came on to add some insight. I'm sure I'll see Omen tomorrow because I'm sure there'll be some other surprises then. And who knows, maybe Coach will be here tomorrow.
Oh,
Also.
I didn't even tell you, by the way. I'm leaving Wednesday. I'm going to Indiana for some business with Soldier. And then
I don't want to know about
Thursday
it.
morning, we're going right to Ohio.
Wow, lucky you. We'll
Someone ran
say,
their mouth in Indiana, so now we got to go shut it.
Well, I'm going to say no comment to that. I'm going to say, though, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. That is, of course, 3 Hall of Famers, 3 of the integral parts of Summer Bash. Coach Kris Kraven, 2-time Hall of Famer. Anthony Steele, the most controversial figure in backyard underground wrestling history. Sportzwire Radio Hall of Famer. And the man that is a huge part of Resurrection Wrestling. And it is his show after all. He is still the reigning, defending IMF Hardcore Champion, Mr. Omen Black, the boogeyman of the Midwest. And he is also the man that you're going to be seeing coming up here Thursday and throughout the week on Sports Radio. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Yes.
He's already starting. He wants to shoot. He made a comment about Mr. Steele. Since Mr. Steele's my first opponent, he said he looks like Hitler with a bad hair day.
Well, that's why it's we're in what they call
That's
now.
new. That's
witching.
new.
We're in the witching hour right now. The witching hours are between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning.
I want to.
Wow.
Kris, your kid looks like an extra from Stranger Things.
We are in the witching
all right.
hour.
I'll go fuck myself then, guys.
Oh, we're definitely in the witching hour. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'll be here right after Raw with Soldier GP and probably these same 3 individuals. So until then, hit the sub button for us on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579. I'm also on TikTok now at Sportswire Radio. Go follow these guys. IMF Wrestling 666 on YouTube. Get them to 2,000 subscribers. Resurrection Wrestling. Go support them. Rock Wrestling on YouTube. Coach Kris Kraven on TikTok. Support him. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number 1 global radio station that is Sportswire Radio. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice for all wrestling matches.